everyone, it's Roisin Reads, and today's video is about my 25 books in 2025. Bear in mind, this was supposed to come out in January, it is now coming out in April. I have read some of these 25 books, but I haven't read all of them, so I'm going to tell you what they all are and then go from there. I'm really bad about reading books aloud, so I'm really sorry. So the first one is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I have read this one. So this book is about, there is 3 types of people. There's elites with elite powers, so there's certain powers that they're classed as elite. The second is mundane, so these are like lesser powers, and then the more common powers, and then there's ordinaries who have no power, and the ordinaries have been banished from this area, from this city or whatever, and have decided, the king has decided that they're not allowed to be anymore, so they had like 2 or 3 days to clear out before anybody who's still in their kingdom is killed. Then there's this trial that happens every like 4 years, I think, like the Olympics, or every 10 years, I'm not sure, but there's basically this trial thing that happens every so often, in which the elites and some of the mundanes come together and basically try to win, showcasing their abilities and the public vote. So the 2 main characters are Payden and Kai and Kit. Kit and Kai are both the son of the king, and Payden is a homeless young adult who lives on the street with her best friend Adina, and they basically, her village, which is Loot, named her as the person in the trials because she saved Kit's life, and I don't know if that's a spoiler or anything, but basically she saved the king's son's life, so she gets put into the trials and it goes on from there. The next book is The Wicked Kingdom. I have to say, I don't know much about this book, and I intend to not know that much about this book. I want to go in it going quite like having no intel on what's going on. I know there's 3 books in the series, and I know that some of the characters that are in here have gone to other books that I've heard about, but I haven't read any of Kerry Menasakalo. I haven't read any of her books, so this is going to be the first one, I think. I have tried to get into her books before, but I never actually, it was on the TBR and then I never actually read them. So I don't really know too much. Some of these books I don't know too much about, but like I said, I don't know too much about Kingdom of Wicked. I know it's a trilogy, so there's 3 books in the trilogy, and I have all 3 books. It's a done series, and yes, I haven't read it. So I'm going to get onto that. The next one is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. Again, not sure too much about this. Okay. After centuries of sleep, the gods are warring again. All 18-year-old Iris Winnow wants to do is hold her family together, with a brother in the front line, forced to fight on behalf of the gods now missing from the front line, and mother drowning her sorrows. Iris' best bet in winning the columnist promotion at the Oath Gazette. But when Iris's letter to her brother falls into the wrong hands, and that is the handsome but cold Roman Kit, her rival at the paper, an unlikely magical connection forms. Expelled into the middle of a mystical war, magical typewriter in tow, can their bond withstand the fight of the fates of mankind, and most importantly, love? An epic enemies to lover fantasy novel filled with hope, heartbreak, and an unparalleled power of love. So that's what Divine Rivals is about. Sounds quite interesting. I don't really know too much about it. I heard it was really big a couple of years ago. I think when it first came out, and then the second book came out, it was really big, and I decided that I wanted to read it, and I never really found too much about it. But it sounds quite interesting, and I love anything to do with writers and authors and that sort of stuff, so that should be quite a good one. The next book is The Crimson Moth by Christine Cicerelli. Don't know if I'm saying that right, but The Crimson Moth, right. I know part of this one. I know it's about a witch and a witch hunter, and basically the witch hunter thinks that the witch is a witch and he's going undercover to try and find out, and gotten really close to her, and she's done the same to him, knowing he's a witch hunter, I think. But yeah, I think it's about a witch hunter and a witch, and basically I think the witches have been a moth to a flame, a witch to burn is the tagline. So I think that basically all the witches have been set to die, and she runs a underground witch community type thing, and is high up in that organisation, I think, and he's a witch hunter that is looking for witches, and he thinks that he's found her, but she's not positive, as far as I know, that she actually is a witch, or obviously she would have killed her. So yes, as far as I know, that's what it is. The next one is Iron Widow by Ziran J. Zahao. I don't know. I am going to put all the titles up here, but it's Widow Iron, so I'm going to go and have a look at that. But I know that it was presented as she was a really badass character, which is why I really wanted to read it. I have a special edition of this book. I got it in either a Luma crate or Owl crate. I got it in either one of those, but I never actually read it. And then I heard somebody saying that it was a really badass female main character, so I really wanted to watch it, to read it. So this one's about the boys of Hynix dream is growing up with girls to pilot Cicerelli's giant forming robots that can battle the mechanic aliens that lurk beyond the Great Wall. It doesn't matter that the girls often die from the mental strain. When 18-year-old Citrine offers herself up as combined pilot, it's to assassinate the ace male pilot responsible for her sister's death, but she gets her revenge in a way nobody expects. She kills him through a psychic link between pilots and emerges from the cockpit unscathed. She is labelled the Iron Widow, a much feared and much silent kind of female pilot who can sacrifice boys to power up Sicily's instead. To tame her unnerving yet invaluable mental strength, she is paired up with Lynn Shimin, the strongest and most controversial male pilot in Huxian. But now that Citrine has the taste of power, she will not cower so easily. She will miss no opportunity to leverage their combined might and infamy to survive attempt after attempt on her life, until she can figure out exactly why the pilot system works in its misogynistic way and stop more girls from being sacrificed. So that sounds quite interesting. I didn't realise it was about aliens or a sci-fi, but it sounds quite interesting. So the next book is Light Lark, which from what I know is there's like a trial like test or something every 100 years to try to battle a curse that is on the entire country, and the main character has just become part of has just had a seat at that council and decided to take on the trial to see if she can rid the curse. as far as I know, that's what this book is about. I'm not sure if it actually is, but that's what I think it's about, and that's what I'm going to assume it is. And I'm very excited. I know that there's 2 potential love interests in this, so it's a love triangle type thing. So I don't know if I'm as excited about that, but I am really excited to read Light Lark. By the way, I didn't say Light Lark is by Alex Astor. So like I said, I'm going to put it up here anyway. This next book, The Serpent and the Kings of Night by Carissa Broadbent, I have read and I did enjoy. It's about the trials one, where basically they each get put into a trial, this main characters, and they basically, if they win this trial, they earn a wish from the Queen Nyaxia, or the god Nyaxia. So the daughter of the general, or like ambassador, or the king, basically whichever one it is, it's his daughter, and she goes into the trial to get, basically she wants to become a vampire like her father, not her biological father but her adopted father, and because she's fed up of having to carry away and hide her neck and all that sort of stuff from vampires, where it's basically a dominated vampire area. So she wants to get a wish so she can become a vampire. So that's the next book. The next book is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig, and I'll just see what that's about. What is wrong with names? Why can't any have been called John or Joan or Jane? Elspeth needs a monster. The monster might be her. Elspeth Spindle needs more than luck to stay safe in the eerie, mist-locked kingdom of Boulder. She needs a monster. She called him the Nightmare, an ancient merciful spirit trapped in her head. He protects her. He keeps her secrets. But nothing comes for free, especially magic. When Elspeth meets a mystical highwayman on the forest road, her life takes a drastic turn. Thrust into a world of shadow and deception, she joins a dangerous quest to cure Boulder from the dark magic infecting it. And the highwayman, he just happens to be the king's nephew, captain of the most dangerous men in Boulder and guilty of high treason. Together they must gather 12 Providence cards. The keys are the cure. But as the stakes heighten and their undeniable attraction intensifies, Elspeth is forced to face her secret yet again. The nightmare is slowly taking over her mind, and she might not be able to stop him. So I'm very excited about that book as well. That's all I'll say about this book, because these are the books that I'm really excited about. These are the books that I was purposely put on this list because they are so books that I'm really excited to read about. So sorry if you could hear my Febreze, by the way. So next book I have already read again. This is one of the last books, I think, or the last book that I have read. Let me just have a look. Oh no, there is another book that I haven't read, but this is one of the last books that I have read. It is Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. Basically, this is a book that I have thoroughly loved. Shannon gets bullied at her old school. So her mum's had enough of it now and decided that she's going to go to a private school that is nearer to, that is in the area of her house. And on the first day of being at that school, Shannon meets Johnny Kavanagh, who is the best rugby player in the team, and he even is on a second team that is like national or something like that. He's a really high, like a really popular really good player of rugby. So they meet, and it is basically a story of them falling in love. It takes a while, just be prepared. They are thick books. And this book, Binding 13, has a second book which is like a duet of Keeping 13. There are the two books for that. Then there's two books for Joey and Aoife's books, which is Shannon's sister and his girlfriend. And then the last book is Gibbsy and Claire's book. But they are a lot of books and they are thick, but they don't feel thick when you're reading them. Just don't go into thinking this is a really big book and it's going to take me ages. It doesn't. It really doesn't. I read them so fast because they are so addictive, and just you can completely go into the book and you know what's happening. It is such a good book. The next book is Guild by Raven Kennedy. I love Raven Kennedy. I have read most of her books, but I have not read this book. So, and it's her most popular book, so I don't know why I never read it, but I haven't read Guild yet so far. So, this book is: the Fae abandons this world to us, and the ones with power rule. Gold floors, gold walls, gold furniture, gold clothes. In High Bell, in the castle built into the frozen mountains, everything is made of gold, even me. King Medeiros rescued me, dug me out of the slums and placed me on a pedestal. I am called his precious, his favoured. I'm the woman his gold touched, to show everyone that I belong to him, to show how powerful he is. He gave me protection and I gave him my heart. And even though I can't leave the confines of the palace, I'm safe. Until war comes to the kingdom and a deal is struck, suddenly my trust is broken, my love is challenged, and I realised everything I thought I knew about Medeiros might be wrong. Because these bars I'm kept in, no matter how gilded, are still just a cage. But the monsters on the other side might make me wish I never left. The myth of King Medeiros reimagined. This compelling adult fantasy series is addictive as it is unexpected. With romance, intrigue and danger, the gilded world of Oria will grip you from the very first page. Please note, this book contains explicit content and darker elements, including mature language, violence and rape. It is not recommended for anyone under the age of 18. This is book 1 of the series. So it is, you've got to check the trigger warnings, and you should check trigger warnings of every book that you ever read, just in case, especially if you're a lot younger. But it is an adult book, so over 18s for that. For most of these books, I think, to be honest. The next book is Little Thieves by Margaret Owens. And all I know about this book is it's about thieves and them trying. It's kind of like, what I was told is it's kind of like Six of Crows, where they form a team to do a heist. Which I love these types of books. I love heist books. There is another set of books that I want to read that's a heist book that I've got up on my shelves, but I haven't read those either yet. But I love Six of Crows, so I am very excited to read The Little Thieves. I don't know too much about it. I don't really want to know too much about it. All I know is that it's about a heist, and I'm quite happy just knowing that. The next book is Caraval by Stephanie Garber. And I don't know too much about this. I know the Once Upon a Time series. I read that, and that one of the characters, the main characters in that, is in this book. But I don't know much. I think, I'm going to make sure, but I think she's a... No, that's a different book. I don't know. I actually don't know. So this book, Caraval's about a legendary competition, a mesmerising romance, an unbreakable bond between two sisters. Scarlet Dragna has never left the tiny island where she and her sister Telia live with their powerful and cruel father. Now Scarlet's father has arranged a marriage for her, and Scarlet thinks her dreams of seeing Caraval a far away once a year performance where the audience participates in the show is over. But this year, Scarlet's long dreamt of invitation finally arrives. With the help of a mystery sailor, Teller whisk Scarlet away for the show. Only as soon as they arrive, Teller is kidnapped by Caraval's mastermind organizer, Legend, and it turns out that this season's Caraval revolves around Teller, and whoever finds her first is the winner. Scarlet is told that everything that happens during Caraval is only an elaborate performance. Nonetheless, she becomes embellished in the game of love, heartbreak and magic. And whether Caraval is real or not, Scarlet must find Teller before the 5 nights of the game are over, or a dangerous domino effect of consequences will be set off and her beloved sister will disappear forever. Welcome to Caraval, beware of being swept too far away. So I'm excited about that. I did not know that she had a sister that was kidnapped. I've never actually looked into the book, but I am excited for it. The next book is From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and all I know about this is there's vampires. Okay, so From Blood and Ash, a maiden chosen from birth is ushered into a new era. Poppy's life has never been her own. The life of a maiden is solitary, never to be touched, never to be looked upon, never to be spoken to, never to experience pleasure. Waiting for the day of her ascension, she would rather be with gods, fighting back the evil who took her family, than preparing to be found worthy by the gods. But the choice has never been hers, a duty. The entire kingdom's future rests on Poppy's shoulders, something she's never even quite sure she wants for herself. Being a maiden has a heart and a soul and longing, and when Hawk, a golden-eyed god honours bound to ensure her ascension, enters her life, destiny and duty become tangled with desire and need. He initiates her anger, makes her question everything she believes in, and tempts her with the forbidden. A kingdom forsaken by the gods and feared by mortals, a fallen kingdom is rising once more, determined to take back what they believe is theirs through violence and vengeance. And as the show of these cursed draw closer, the line between what is forbidden and what is right becomes blurred. Poppy is not only on the verge of losing her heart and being found unworthy by the gods, but also her life, with every blood-soaked thread that holds her life tethered. Her worlds together begins to unravel. So, very excited for that. My next book is The Book of Asriel, and I have started this book. I am at 11%, but I actually don't know much about what happens. All I know is, again, she's a badass character. Okay, so currently, The Book of Asriel's book description is in, it kind of looks German. So I can't actually tell you what it means. But from what I can remember of the first 11%, she is basically tied to this really powerful, she's basically tied to this really powerful man who wants to become the new king of the kingdom type thing. And he forces her to do the dirty work and be killing people and all that sort of stuff. by holding her sister's life in his hands type thing. So she basically will do anything that this man wants because she wants to keep her sister alive. So that's as much as I can remember of that. Don't really know. The next book is Out on a Limb by Hannah Berman Young. Let's see if I can do that. I have read the first book in this series. So I have read the first book in the series, but I haven't read the rest. So Winifred Wynne McNulty has always been wildly independent, not one to be coddled for her limb difference. Wynne has spent most of her life trying to prove that she can do it all on her own, and with some minor adjustments, she's done just fine. That is until she has a one-night stand with an incredibly charming Beau, a perfect stranger. And that one night changes everything. While Beau is surprisingly elite to step onto the plate, Wynne finds herself unsure whether she'll be able to handle this new challenge on her own or if she'll need a helping hand. Together, Wynne and Beau decide to get to know one another as friends and nothing more, but as they both should know by now, life rarely goes according to plan. So I'm very excited about that. Again, it's just something that I'm going to say after each book. I'm really excited because I am. I've really enjoyed each of these books, or I think I'm going to enjoy each of these books. This next book is another one that I have read, and I think it's the last one that I have read in the series. Yes. So, God of Malice by Rena Kent is the next book. I have, like I said, read it. And the tagline is, I caught the attention of a monster. It is in the Legacy of Gods series. I caught the attention of a monster. I didn't ask for it, didn't even see it coming, but the moment I do, it's too late. Killian Carson is a predator wrapped in a sophisticated charm. He's cold-blooded, manipulative and savage. The worst part is that no one sees his devil side. I do, and it will cost me everything. I run, but the things about monster, they always chase. This book is an unconventional romance and contains themes that aren't for everyone's liking. Please check the author's note before reading. It is an adult book. You do need to check the trigger warnings on this book. It is very adult and it is quite dark. It is a dark romance, so just beware of that going in. Oh, excuse me. The next book is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I do need to read the other books that apparently there's supposed to be an order. You're supposed to read some other books before you can read Just for the Summer, but I've really wanted to read Just for the Summer for quite a while, so that's the book that I've put on the 25 books in 2025. So Just for the Summer. Justin has a curse, and thanks to a Reddit thread, it is now all over the internet. Every woman he dates goes on to find their soulmate the second they break up. When a woman slides into his DMs with the same problem, they come up with a plan. They'll date each other and break up. Their curses will cancel each other out, and they'll both go on to find the love of their lives. It's a bonkers idea, but it just might work. Emma hadn't planned for her next assignment as a travelling nurse to be in Minnesota, but she and her best friend agreed that dating Justin is too good of an opportunity to pass up, especially when they get to rent an affordable cottage on a private island in Lake Minnesota. It's supposed to be a quick fling just for the summer, but when Emma's toxic mother shows up and Justin has just has to assume guardianship of his 3 siblings, they suddenly negotiating a lot more than they expected, including catching feelings for each other. What if this time fate had actually brought the perfect pairing together? So yeah, I'm excited for that. Can you guess that I was going to say that? Okay, the next book I want to read is A Good Guy's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. And this is a YA, as far as I can remember. It's not as adult as a lot of the other books on the TBR. So, everyone in Fairview knew the story. Pretty and popular high school senior Andy Bell was murdered by her boyfriend, Sal Singer, who then killed himself. It is all anyone can talk about. Years later, Pip sees how the tragedy still haunts her town, but she can't shake the feeling that there's more to what happened that day. She knew Sal when she was a child, and he's always so kind to her. How could he possibly have been a killer? Now a senior herself, Pip decides to re-examine the closed case for her final project. At first just to cast doubt on the original investigation, but soon she discovers a trail of dark secrets that might actually prove Sal innocent, and the line between past and present begins to burn. Someone in Fairview doesn't want Pip digging around for answers, and now her own life might be in danger. The next book is Rewitched by Lucy Jane Wood, which is a witch's book, like just about a witch, a book about a witch. So, rewitching. Also, for all of these books, I am hoping to read the sequels as well, not just finish on these books, but these are the books that I want to do as the bare minimum. Belladonna Blackthorn hasn't lost her magical spark, but she hasn't seen it in a while either. Balancing work at her beloved Luna Books with protecting it from her toxic boss, who's running it to the ground, and all the while concealing her witchcraft from the non-witches around her, Belle is burnt out. Perfecting the potential of her magic is the last thing on her mind, but when her 30th birthday brings a summons from her coven and a trial that tests her worthiness as a witch, Belle risks losing her magic forever. And with the month of October to fix things, the signs of dark forces may be working against her. Belle will need all the help she can get from the women in her life and from an unlikely mentor figure, and even a infuriatingly handsome watchman who's sworn to protect her. With found family, slow burn romance, and an uplifting message about self-love, this is a cozy autumnal read that you've been waiting for. So I'm probably going to read this later on in the year, but I am very excited about listening about reading Rewitched. The next book is The Kiss of Deception by Mary E. Parsons. And I picked this because it was a book that I needed to read before another book in her series. So I need to read this series before I can read another book series by Mary E. Parsons. But I can't remember what the other book set was. I was told that this was the series that I needed to read first before I read the other series. Oh, so the other book that I wanted to read were The Dance of Thieves by her, but I was told that I needed to read the Kiss of Deception series first. It's a trilogy, I think. In a society steeped in tradition, Princess Leia's life follows a pre-ordained course. As first daughter, she's expected to have the revered gift of sight, but she doesn't. And she knows her parents are permitting a sham when they arrange her marriage to secure an alliance with a neighbouring kingdom, a prince she has never met. On the morning of her wedding, Leah flees to a distant village. She settles into a new life, hopeful that the two mystery and handsome strangers arrive, and unaware that one is the jilted prince and another is an assassin who's sent to kill her. Deception abounds, and Leah finds herself on the brink of unlocking perilous secrets, and even if she finds herself falling in love. The next book is Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. This book came out last year and I was very excited about it, but I didn't get to read it last year in the October. So again, I'm probably going to wait until the October to read this, because it feels like that kind of a vibe. Okay, so welcome to Phantasma. There are only 2 rules to the game: stay alive and don't fall in love. When Ophelia's sister disappears, there is only one way to save her. Ophelia must enter Phantasma, a deadly contest inside a haunted mansion, and claim its prize, a single wish. Phantasma is a maze of twisted corridors and lavish ballrooms of demons and temptations. Ophelia must face 9 challenges, each more dangerous than the last. There can only be one winner, and the other contestants will stop at nothing to eliminate their rivals. Every day at the house creates new monsters, but just as Ophelia's fears threaten to overwhelm her, a mystery stranger offers her a bargain. Charming, arrogant, and infuriatingly attractive, Bakewell claims he can guide her through the lethal trials ahead. All he asks in return is 10 years of her life. Ophelia knows she shouldn't trust him. Bakewell doesn't seem dangerous, but appearance can be deceiving. Worse still, she sees a dark and irresistible attraction growing closer and closer. Her life is on the line, but in Phantasma, the only thing deadlier than losing the game is losing your heart. So that sounds very good. The next book, one of the last of the books, is Mother of Death and Dawn by Carissa Broadbent. So this is the final book in this trilogy. So the first book in the World of Lost Hearts series is Daughter of No Worlds, and that book description is: a former slave fighting for justice, a recluse warrior who no longer believes it exists, and a dark magic that will untangle their fates. Ripped from a forgotten homeland as a child, Tatiana learns to survive with nothing but a sharp wit and a touch of magic. But the night she tries to buy her freedom, she barely escapes with her life. Desperate to save her best friend she left behind, Tatiana journeys to the Orders, the most powerful organisation of magic wielders in the world. But to join their ranks, she must complete an apprenticeship with Maxentius. Sorry about that, somebody knocked on the door. So, where were we? Okay. But to join their ranks, she must complete an apprenticeship with Maxentius Forline, a handsome and reclusive foe wielder who despises the Orders. The Order's intentions are cryptic, and Tatiana must prove herself under threat of looming war, and even more dangerous of her growing feelings. But even more dangerous are her growing feelings for Matronus. The bloody past he wants to forget may be the key to her future, or the downfall of them both. But Tatiana will stop at nothing to save those she abandoned, even if it means gambling in the even if it means gambling in the Order's deadly games, even if it means sacrificing her heart, even if it means wielding death herself. Oh, even if it means wielding death itself. So that's the first book, but like I said, I want to try and finish Mother of Death and Dawn, which is the third and final book in the trilogy. But I am going to have to read all 3 books to get to the last book, because it's been 2 years since I first read both of the first 2 books. So I'm going to need to do that. The next book is a book that hasn't actually been released yet. It is coming out in May. And that is A Fate Forged in Fire by Hazel McBride. And let me just do this. It is about dragons. So that's why I know. Okay. So, to become the first queen in centuries, a powerful, blessed blacksmith must use her wits and fire magic to overthrow the corrupt power ruling her kingdom, while also fighting her growing desire for one of her dragon riding adversaries. In the first book of a sizzling Celtic inspired fantasy romance duology, once a territory builds on a matriarchy rule and values, Tyre T has since grown frail and a long line of fruitless kings, the most recent of which have ruled under the influence of the true religion, an oppressive group who have steadily poisoned the region with their anti-magical teaching. Born to rule and blessed by fire, Amiriel has begrudgingly lived in hiding rather than risk her life in court, waiting in anticipation for the current king's death so she can bind his dragon, claim her throne and protect her people. But when the king dies and Emiria is ready to take what is rightfully hers, her ambitious plan is foiled and she is thrust into a game of vicious politics and plots. Her biggest adversary is Prince Ferian, a dragon rider and one of the most powerful fire wielders in the territory. Cold, arrogant and blindingly supportive of his corrupt family, he is everything Emiria despises. But as chaos engulfs the court, they find themselves reluctantly entwined, forced to forge an uneasy alliance, one that quickly ignites into something more dangerous than either of them expected. Behind enemy lines and slowly filing for her so-called adversary, Emery discovers just how far the rot of corruption has spread and what she must sacrifice to claim her throne. So that seems very exciting, and I think it comes out on May the 27th, sorry. I think it comes out May the 27th, so not too far away from. The next book is Wild and Wrangled by Leela Sage. And this is the 4th book in the Rebel Blue Ranch. And it is about Cam and Dusty. So let's go through it. She is the one that got away. He's the one that never let her go. From the best-selling author of Done and Dusted and Swift and Saddles, the next book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series, a small-town romance in which past lovers get a second chance to rediscover what they lost. Camille Ashwood has always loved a plan. Her latest was her best yet. She was going to get married so she could secure her daughter's future, get her overbearing parents off her back, and finally start building her own life in the small town Meadowlark, Wyoming. Easy, right? But when her groom doesn't show up to the wedding, Cam's life is turned upside down. She doesn't even have a place to live. That is, until she finds out the house she loves since high school is available to rent. The only problem, the neighbour. Dusty Tucker has spent nearly all his adult life running. Running from what though? More likely, who? Cam Ashwood. But ever since he returned home last year, the girl who was his first, well, everything, has become a woman seemingly determined to keep him at arm's length. And he's okay with that. At least that's what he keeps on telling herself. She was getting married after all, but now she's single and living next door. Dusty wants to show her that they can be friends and that he can stay put. Despite her best attempts to stay away from Dusty Tucker, Cam realises that being close to him is like slipping into her favourite dreams, easy, comfortable. That is until past wounds start opening and feelings both new and old wreak havoc. Nearly 10 years after they first met, Dusty and Cam began to wonder if their first love can be their last. And this time, will it be forever? And the last book, which is good because my head's starting to really hurt. I've been talking for over almost an hour. The last book is A Dawn of Onyx by Kate Golden. Captured by a king of darkness, forced to find light within, Erwin Follendale never expected to be the brave one, offering her life to save her brothers. Now she is taken prisoner by the most dangerous kingdom on the continent and made to use her rare magical gifts to heal soldiers of the vicious Onyx King. Eowyn knew better than to face the ancient Wiccan woods that surrounded the castle on her own, which means working with a fellow prisoner might be her only path to freedom. Unfortunately, he's as infuriating as he is cunning, and seems to take twisted pleasure in playing with Eowyn's deepest fears. But here in Onyx Kingdom, trust is a luxury she can't afford. To make it out of enemies' territory, she'll have to negotiate backstabbing royals, dark magic and dangerous beasts. But untold power lies within Eowyn, dormant and waiting for a spark. If she can harness it, she might be able to escape with her life and hopefully her heart. Oh, so that's the last of the books. So that's 25 books that I want to read this year in 2025. So I am very excited, and just as a recap, going fast between them all. So just as a recap, the books I want to read are Powerless, Kingdom of the Wicked, Divine Rivals, The Crimson Moth, Iron Widow, Lightlark, The Serpent and the Wings of Night, which I have read, One Dark Window, Binding 13, again I have read, Guild, Little Thieves, Caravel, From Blood and Ash, The Book of Azrael, Out on a Limb, God of Malice I have read, Just for the Summer, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, Rewitched, The Kiss of Deception, Phantasma, Mother of Death and Dawn, A Fate Forged in Fire, Wild and Wrangled, and lastly, A Dawn of Onyx. So those are the books that I want to read, and I am planning on reading this year. So thank you for watching, and thank you for staying as long as you did, because this is going to be a long video. It is already an hour that I've been filming for. So, and I did pause when I went to go downstairs, so it is pretty much an hour of me talking. My throat is so sore. I'm going to need to get a drink. So that's the end of the video. The next video will be my April's wrap up, which I need to film. And then the video after that will be a reading vlog, which I have started filming. It is basically a week of reading in a vlog. So if you want to come and watch that, that'll come out on Sunday. And on Thursday was when the April wrap up will come on. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment and subscribe down below. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.